I was awoken by my mom, and there was a crowd of people in the room, and I didn't really understand what was going on. And my mom said there's been a terrible accident or tragedy. I can't remember the exact words. And you're trying to figure out what's up, and 13 years old, and why, how, and questions and questions and questions. My brother and I were 13 and 11 at the time, and you just can't, I guess you can't even begin to fathom how it's happened and why it's happened and who and what were the circumstances. I think the specific phrase was Erin's been killed.
Grief. It means to feel or express sorrow. Is the emotive response to the loss of someone. But when it's related to the loss of a loved one, it goes beyond. It constitutes an experience that penetrates to the core of our beings, like no other thing can do. And that suffering can lead to mental and physical illness that will crumble our will to live. The person affected had the choice of face the suffering, turn it around, or even try to understand its meaning or connections, but nothing can take away the pain and the following consequences. Like Freud said, you have lost a part of yourself, of your inner world, of your personal structure, that one thing that makes you who you are. Of course, I'm talking about when it's related to a natural and normal death. But what happens when that death is suddenly caused by a horrible and vicious crime? What happens when a whole family is going to be affected? When there's 2 kids left that are starting to know life, that instead of growing old to understand the world and enjoy childhood, they will do it to try to figure out and understand why that happened to their sister. Living in the uncertainty of paranoia, because they will never feel safe anymore. Erin Gilmour was a 22 years old woman with a passion for fashion design and journalism. She was described by her family and close friends as sweet, glamorous, lovely, and extremely kind. A girl full of dreams and compassion, who always was worried about others and had a smile and advice for the people around her. She was the kind of person who would take care of others before herself. A person that you want to be around. Her list of friends was as big as her personality. Apparently, either you wanted to be her friend or you were attracted to her because she was beautiful and charming. And you can see that reflected in the cool parties that she used to throw at her apartment, to which she used to move to. Erin was the daughter of David Gilmour, an important businessman who at that time was the owner of the Fiji Water Corporation, married to Anna McGowan, a successful and beautiful ballet dancer. So, Erin was destined to success. On December 20, 1983, just 5 days before Christmas, and 1 day after she had invited her 2 little brothers to her apartment, like if she was saying unconsciously goodbye to them. She finished his work day to meet her boyfriend because he was going to take her to a Christmas party. But sadly, the only person she will meet that night was going to be the man who will take her life. How Erin was murdered. Stick around for more.
I want to make you so tasty. I want to be part of you. I want to make you so tasty that no one else will do. They call me mellow yellow, just butter it. They call me mellow yellow, yes, butter it. They call me mellow yellow.
That night, around 8:40 p.m., She finished work at Robin's Neat, which was downstairs from her apartment. She turned off the lights, closed the doors, and went straight to her apartment because her boyfriend Anthony was going to pick her up at 9. But he was late and showed up around 9:30. In those 30 minutes between she closed the store and the time that Anthony arrived were the 30 minutes that the killer will use to commit the crime. No one knows how the killer got inside her apartment because there was no sign of forced entry or a possible fight that someone could have watched. When Anthony showed up, he noticed that the street door was half opened, so he probably thought that Erin left it that way for him to come inside. He came in, and while he was walking upstairs, he was calling her name, but there was no answer, and the lights of their apartment were on. He may thought that maybe she went back to the store for something, so he went downstairs to check the store, but it was closed with the lights off, and no one was there. He then went back to the apartment and went directly to her room, where he found that the duvet on the bed had been drawn up over the pillows. He proceeded to pull back the duvet just to find Erin tied to the bed, agonizing and covered with blood. She had a lot of stabs on her body and one fatal to the heart. He immediately called 911, but it was worthless because Erin died before the paramedics could show up. The autopsy revealed that Erin was brutally stabbed on the torso and once in the heart. She had been tied to her bed and raped by her killer. Her mother was the one who had to give the devastating news to her little brothers, and of course, they didn't know how to react. One of them just punched the wall and made a hole. And that was like some kind of metaphor of the frustration and rage the whole family was feeling and will feel all their lives. There was no clue about who was the murderer. A lot of theories appeared, but no one was strong enough to be linked to the murder. One of them said that Erin had met a guy at a bar she used to attend, and that guy made some disturbing phone calls before the murder. Some says that police investigated the guy, but could not link him to the crime, and others says that police never took the clue seriously. So the crime remained with no clues for years. Another murder linked to this crime. Details after this.
Hi, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day.
Noodle? Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup. Fresh egg noodles simmered in our own soothing chicken broth.
I love chicken noodle soup.
Once a Campbell's kid, always a Campbell's kid.
17 years after that, the investigation had a turn when the DNA bank was created. Police found that the DNA found on the scene was the same as one found in another crime that happened just months before Erin's crime. On August 17, a 40-year-old woman who lived alone at her house was found dead. She had been stabbed several times and raped. Her house didn't show any signs of a forced entry, the same modus operandi found on Erin's crime. The other victim was 40-year-old Susan Tice, but they had nothing in common except for their kindness and the fact that they lived alone and just 10 minutes away from each other. And some people said that they used to visit the same bar, but they were in different stages of their lives, different social status. So it's not clear why the murderer chose them as their victims. Maybe he started with Susan. And as he realized that no one suspected it was him, his fantasies escalated and went for a younger and wealthy woman. We don't know if the police suspect that there were connections between these two murders back then. I guess they did, because it was the same modus operandi. Also, there was another girl, Tatiana Anidziu, who was murdered 5 years later on her apartment at Broadway Avenue, just 20 minutes away from Erin's crime scene. And, like the other two, she lived alone and was stabbed on the chest to death. Maybe police didn't want to create paranoia knowing that possible serial killer was around the area, because the boom of American serial killers had just exploded around that year. And there is a chance that they didn't want it to publicly accept that that was happening in Toronto too. Till today, we don't know if that is true, or if that killer committed more crimes the years following or prior to those murders. It's possible that he was between 20 and 35 years old at that time, and that maybe he was white, because serial killers have a tendency to choose their victims with the same race as them, and it's possible that he is still out there. The only thing we know by now is that two families are not the same since then, and that Susan and Erin's life suffer from something they didn't deserve. We know that the killer stole from them all the hopes of future human connections. He stole from them the chance to be a grandma, a mother, to have a husband, a child, a family, to watch her brothers grow, to make her parents proud. He stole from them the chance to feel, the chance to have a future. He stole the whole world from them. 37 years after Erin's murder, her family's mourning is still present. The pain is still there, and the hope for justice is a light that keeps them alive. They don't want to know why. They don't want revenge. The only thing they want is a name. Just one name to finally find peace. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a like, share with a friend, activate the notifications, and subscribe to my channel for more mysteries and crimes. My name is Dexter Szandor. Good night.